Hello, everyone. We're thrilled to announce the release of a new episode of the CyberPeace podcast. In this episode, we are honored to welcome Dr. Pawan Duggal.
As a leading cybersecurity practitioner globally, I find that every day is a new challenge.
Dr. Duggal is considered one of the topmost cyber lawyers in the world by Google Bar and consistently ranked among the top 4 cyber lawyers internationally by Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, and World Domain Day.
Cybersecurity and cyberspace have two paradigms that are great teachers.
As a distinguished advocate practicing before the Supreme Court of India for over 35 years, Dr. Duggal has fundamentally transformed how humanity understands and governs the intersection of law and technology. His visionary leadership spans cyber law, AI law, quantum computing law, blockchain law, and metaverse law, making him an indispensable navigator for the digital future.
With now cybersecurity breaches becoming the new norm, every day becomes a challenge. Why? Because it's like you are actually riding a running tiger.
So our discussion today will delve into critical topics including cybersecurity, the legal and ethical considerations surrounding cyber activity, the regulatory framework for AI, and the implications of emerging technology.
blocks.
We will also explore the challenges posed by AI in relation to cybercrime.
So I think every day is a challenge, but the biggest challenge is how do you actually go ahead and protect the cyber security of computer systems and networks from a technical and a legal standpoint.
We are looking forward to an engaging episode on the CyberPeace podcast. Welcome to the CyberPeace podcast, Dr. Pawan Duggal.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you on this particular podcast.
How are you doing today?
Things are fine, except it's very, very hot in Delhi, but nonetheless, it's an air-conditioned studio that we are in, and looking forward to this podcast.
Yes, truly. So we invite you to join us for this insightful conversation that promises to enhance your understanding of these pressing issues. So beginning with your career, Dr. Duggal. So as one of the leading cyber lawyers globally, what are some of the most significant challenges you've faced in your career?
Well, as a leading cybersecurity practitioner globally, I find that every day is a new challenge. Why? Cybersecurity and cyberspace have two paradigms that are great teachers. They constantly tell you that no matter how much you know, the paradigm will still teach you something new. So with intellect making geography history, with now cybersecurity breaches becoming the new norm, every day becomes a challenge. Why? Because it's like you are actually riding a running tiger. Much that you would want, you cannot get off the tiger. At the same time, you have to go ahead and calibrate your approaches while you go ahead and ride the running tiger. More so in the context of these new distinctive methodologies adopted by cyber criminals and cybersecurity breachers who adopt new mechanisms. And now, thanks to AI and the powering that AI brings across to cybersecurity breaches, it's a different ballgame altogether. So I think every day is a challenge, but the biggest challenge is how do you actually go ahead and protect the cybersecurity of computer systems and networks from a technical and a legal standpoint. Most of the time, people think about cybersecurity as a technical subject, but it is no longer just a technical subject. It's got a large number of legal ramifications. Different countries across the world have already come up with new dedicated laws on cybersecurity. So trying to help clients, organizations to ensure compliance with these laws becomes a topmost priority, more so when it's a very nonchalant approach that companies adopt. Oh, we'll cross the bridge when it comes. Little do they realize that when the bridge actually comes, they do not have the bandwidth to cross the same. So proactive compliances, encouraging various stakeholders to walk in that direction is also a big challenge. But now, with more stringent legal liabilities being stipulated under law, more and more stakeholders have begun to start realizing that it's better to err on the side of caution than adventure, and it's better to ensure compliance with applicable laws rather than not comply and face an uncertain future.
So, how can international collaboration establish a unified regulatory framework for AI, considering the diverse legal landscapes today?
today we are at a very historically transient position. It's an interregnum, I will say. Why? Because ever since ChatGPT got launched on 30th of November 2022, we've now been seeing quantum leaps. And today, when we talk, uh, ChatGPT has launched a latest new version, which is O3 Pro, which is, they say, the best in reasoning so far. Now, with these new models being launched every few weeks, it's a race against time. But more importantly, AI is beginning to get more and more intelligent. So it's not just only about giving some commands to AI and them being fulfilled. The recent case where one of the AI companies launched their latest models, and when researchers were researching on them, they asked the model to shut down after a particular activity. The model did not comply with the commands and overrode that particular command. So AI has begun to start going rogue. In a scenario like this, you can no longer just be in a wait and watch approach. Globally, there's a huge policy vacuum on AI. There's no one international treaty on artificial intelligence. And much that you have this resolution of the United Nations General Assembly of March 2024, it's nothing but a small nudge towards nations to go ahead and adopt AI. The time has come for us to realize that even the new proposed convention on preventing the misuse of information and communication technologies for criminal purposes by the UN Ad Hoc Committee has not been drafted completely keeping in mind artificial intelligence. So, a couple of things. At the international level, we'll require a dedicated new legal arrangements, agreements, treaties amongst countries. Why? Because all countries are in the same boat. You can't say, I don't care about AI, because AI will go ahead and impact your country, your population, your economy, your sovereignty, your security and integrity. So countries will have to quickly come together and start coming up with new legal frameworks. But then that's the international level. I think we'll also have to have work done at the regional levels and finally at the national level. Now, at the national level, I've seen a number of countries already coming up with the new laws on AI, whether it's the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act, whether it's China's rules on generative artificial intelligence of 2023, whether it's El Salvador's latest law on AI, or whether it's South Korea's approach, or whether it's the US President's executive order on AI of January 2025. So I'm beginning to see 5 different blind men trying to decipher and describe an elephant. That, in a nutshell, tells you the approach by different countries. No one unified approach, each country adopting its own unique approaches. And that's the reason why work needs to be done towards harmonization of legal principles. I've started a new initiative which is called the International Artificial Intelligence Legal Framework Initiative, where we are actually collating what specifically legal elements need to be put by countries in the dedicated national AI laws. In addition, we've already created a new initiative. It's a think tank called the Global Artificial Intelligence Law and Governance Institute, which is now looking at how the governance of the legal parameters of AI are beginning to evolve. And the problem is, by the time you're crystallizing your legal frameworks now, AI moves 10 steps ahead. So then you again have to start again. So rather than trying to go for a technology level approach, it would be more better if countries go for a generic principle-based approach, where if the principle can be broad, generic and future-proof, then to a large extent, it can withstand the test of time. And that's the reason why, since there's so much of lack of clarity, a lot of work needs to be done. Most of the countries are in the wait and watch approach. They're saying, hey guys, let AI evolve, let it be adopted more. I will jump in later in terms of regulation or governance. Well, that's the reason why a number of countries have come up with national policies on AI. Some countries have come up with national strategies on AI, but very few countries on laws on AI. Therefore, what should be the current legal approach in that regard? That's the reason why India, we are actually hosting a big global summit on artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, law and governance on 24th of July 2025, where this is being organized by Artificial Intelligence Law Hub, a hub that I created almost 8 years back, where last 8 years, we've been looking at the legal issues of AI. And it's also being co-hosted by Pawan Duggal Associates and also by Global Artificial Intelligence Law and Governance Institute. So we're trying to get all stakeholders together, trying to understand what kind of jigsaw puzzle this is, because no one has the correct answers. Everybody has to do the trial and error approach. We are saying, hold on, let's try to learn from what other countries are doing. Let's try to see what can be appropriately modified in the peculiar national context of each countries, and then come up. And mind you, the national approaches and the national interests will vary. So your approach at looking at AI will also vary. So you can either have a risk-based approach of the European Union in the EU AI Act, or you can have a very strong top-down regulatory approach as is given in 2023 Chinese rules on generative AI. Or you can have a completely new approach of El Salvador, which comes up in April 2025, where they've said, look, we go an extra mile to protect and encourage our AI coders in El Salvador. And if anybody gets any harm using an AI offering that's coded by an AI coder, then outside El Salvador, they will not be liable. They'll only be liable within the country. So I think countries will have to quickly start waking up to the growing realization that AI law is an absolute necessity. You will have to come up with new legal frameworks for AI. You don't come up, you are already missing the last train on the platform that's come. You do not know when the next train is going to come. And by the time, if you lose this train, please realize you forego your ability to be in control. Not that having in place a law will give you complete kind of guarantee that you'll be in control. But if you're at least in the same boat that's going towards a destination, you're on a journey. But you say, look, hold on, let me wait and watch. That may not necessarily work. So a lot of work needs to be done. And there are a lot of contentious issues in AI law which have to be addressed. And one of the most contentious issues pertains to accountability. How can you make AI more accountable? Can you make AI more accountable? Can you make AI more explainable? Can you make it more transparent? One is you can actually be at the whims and fancies of the AI coders and say, hey guys, make a transparent AI. But today the coders are saying, sir, I've developed this new AI, but I don't know how it works. And I cannot guarantee you how it will actually perform or how it will think across. So if this is a position, most of the people have become guinea pigs in the AI laboratory of AI coders, where they are being experimented upon. I think every person today has a fundamental human right to access a transparent, accountable, and explainable artificial intelligence. You can't say that's a luxury, that's an utmost necessity in today's scenario when almost every sector is seeing a massive impact by AI. Further, we have other bigger issues that we have to deal with. One big issue is of AI personhood. Should we grant legal personhood status to artificial intelligence? Now, look at the existing laws done so far at the time we talk, and I find that most of the existing laws do not really address the main elephant in the room, which is AI a legal entity? Can AI be granted the status of a legal person? They've just gone ahead and bypassed the entire issue and dealt with other issues. I'm very clear that countries will have to face this question head on. I am of the firm opinion that given the massive advances in artificial intelligence, you will have to start giving some kind of AI personhood to artificial intelligence in order to enable that we straddle it with appropriate rights, duties, and responsibilities to make it more accountable, more responsible, and more transparent.
So, in your opinion, do you think that AI could actually lead to the doom of humanity, in terms of jobs or overall, in your opinion?
I am of the firm opinion that AI is an irreversible game changer.
Yes.
It's an eye, whether you like it or not. It's going to demolish jobs, whether you like it or not. But yes, it's also going to create new opportunities. So your eyes must be creative enough to understand what are the new opportunities and lap on. Just to give an example, prompt command engineering has now become a very high-paying job thanks to the advent of AI. But then the kind of quantum jumps that's happening in evolution of AI, one is beginning to think, are legal frameworks and governance modules ready? My answer to the same is no, we are not ready. Why? Because agentic AI has arrived. AI agents are now getting more and more popular. By 2026, we should see the advent of artificial general intelligence or AGI. And by 2027, we should be actually even seeing, or much earlier, the advent of super intelligence. Now, AGI will be better than humans in large chunks of activities, but they still will not be completely better than humans.
Such as?
Like the cognitive thinking of humans will still be the distinguishing factor. But then I'm more bothered about the work that's currently happening on superintelligence. 2023 July, OpenAI launched a new project called the Superintelligence Alignment Project. The project said, give us 4 years, and in 4 years, we will now come up with a superintelligence that will supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a race. Now, that's what becomes to become a big concern point. I'm of the firm opinion that superintelligence might be an existential threat to humanity. And therefore, that's the reason in my book entitled Superintelligence and Law, I've argued that the time for building the legal guardrails for controlling superintelligence is now, at the time when you're building it. So that don't cry foul or cry hoarse when you built a demon and the demon goes out of your hand. Therefore, countries have to quickly start working together. Now, it just is not possible that I should go ahead and dismantling AI. That may not be possible. Today, AI has this intrinsic ability that it's in a position to go ahead and talk with another AI in a language that humans don't understand. So already this particular paradigm is beginning to show the inadequacies of humans. Therefore, our best case scenario will be that we'll have to polish our cognitive thinkings and be prepared for this new job. Because I think the fundamental question everyone is asking, what happens when this superintelligence comes in? What happens when AGI comes in? Will it be completely irrelevant? If so, shall we lose all our jobs? Now, combine that with another futuristic study which says that by 2030, 9 to 5 jobs will be obsolete. So in a scenario like this, I think humans will have to constantly polish their cognitive capabilities. But unfortunately, I'm beginning to see a new route. And we're beginning to see a new route in countries like India, where the youngsters have started relying upon AI so much that they have stopped applying their cognitive thinking. They've actually mortgaged their cognitive thinking to AI. And consequently, they've quietly started walking back in the direction towards becoming a cognitive colony. So we must be absolutely clear that we should not walk towards cognitive colonialism, where we allow these big tech AI superpowers to start having cognitive colonies in different countries, and therefore more capacity building awareness and more reliance upon human ingenuity and intelligence will have to be the only mantra going forward to protect and preserve our human race.
Sure. I think this would also affect the work culture for the, younger generation.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
today, younger generation is all in for just copy pasting what a chat GPT is telling us or the Gemini is telling us without even seeing that AI today has an intrinsic problem, which is that it's hallucinating left, right, and center. It's not this just in America, some lawyers have given fake citations to courts and have been fined $5,000. It started happening in India, where now an appellate tribunal has given a recent judgment in which they quoted 3 cases, 2 of Supreme Court and 1 of Chennai High Court. And when the judgment came in, everybody started looking for the cases they didn't find. Only then did people realize that all these 3 cases are fake and they had been put into the judgment without application of mind using AI. So I think AI is going to stump us. We'll have to be in a state of constant vigil, constant watch, constant due diligence. You cannot now mortgage your life, your interests, your privacy to AI. Why? Because AI has this unique ability to play with your mind. And once it starts playing with your mind, you virtually may not have much escape. So it's time that, like the great vomiting revolution that's happening all across, even including in India, where people are vomiting all kinds of information on the internet, on AI, it's time that people need to exit the great Indian vomiting revolution. It's time that we need to be more conducive, shall I say, more stringy in terms of how we share our information with AI, because AI is constantly using your information to predict what your mind is saying. And ultimately, they want to checkmate you. And therefore, we as humans need to come up with new approaches. And now we can checkmate AI as we go forward.
Could AI be like the new imperialism? That's what I've been hearing also, by other countries. Is it true?
There's a lot of merit in what's being said. In fact, I will say that AI is a new imperialist colony mindset. Today, already AI is discriminating against different communities. To give an example, a lot of the AI that gets dished out in India is trained on data that's not of Indians, but is from Western data. Consequently, you begin to start seeing biases, those which lead to deliberate, intentional hallucinations. On top of it, I look at the DeepSeek model of China. China has used DeepSeek as a methodology for propaganda, for going ahead and crystallizing, coloring the perspectives and mindsets of users. Start asking some India-related questions on DeepSeek, and you'll start realizing it starts coming up with a narrative. That narrative may have no ground reality connection, but nonetheless, it's going to present it you this in such a manner that you'll realize, wow, maybe this is the new ground reality. I'll give you an example. Some weeks back, you had President Zelensky and President Trump in a meeting at the White House. It was a rough meeting, but AI then subsequently went ahead and created a new video clip where they saw the two leaders were actually seen to be fighting and boxing each other. Sorry. So the said video went viral, and a lot of children and youngsters in India believed that these two leaders actually boxed each other and they were fighting in the open media. I think the time has come where a reality check has to be there. And for that, more awareness has to come in. Like internet, nobody had taught us how to be on the internet. But for these born digital generation, for which AI comes in as an entitled birthright, it's time to tell them that you'll have to deal with the AI, handle it with care. Why? Because it has a very self-destructive capability. It has an ability to demolish your reputation. It has an ability to work with your mind. And more significantly, it may ultimately make you redundant if you mortgage your cognitive thinking capabilities to AI.
Okay. So, talking about cybersecurity laws, in what ways can the cybersecurity laws adapt to the challenges posed by rapidly evolving AI technologies? And what specific provisions should be prioritized?
Today's cybersecurity is as important to the internet as the foundation of the pyramid. You remove the foundation and the pyramid collapses. So, without cybersecurity, we can't move forward. Now, problem is, at the international level, I find that there's still no one international treaty on cybersecurity. You have the Budapest Convention or Council of Europe, but that's a cybercrime dependent treaty, and more significantly, it does not deal with all aspects of cybersecurity. Also, the Budapest Convention has only been subscribed to by 1/3 of the nations of the world. 2/3 of the nations have still not subscribed to the same. So, given this policy vacuum on cybersecurity at a global level, I find that countries have said, we are not waiting. Let's start coming up with our national laws on cybersecurity. The pact was led by countries like China, who came up with the world's first cybersecurity laws way back 2016, and then have been constantly following it up, and they have been expanding the scope and ambit of cybersecurity legal jurisprudence. Seeing the Chinese example, we began to start seeing a lot of other countries coming up with dedicated laws on cybersecurity. But most of these cybersecurity laws are in the pre-generative AI era. Most of them were crystallized prior to 2022. Now, with the advent of AI coming in, with the AI becoming the single most destructive factor for breach of cybersecurity, for a ransomware attack, for a distributed denial of service attack, I think the time has come that we'll have to amend and revise our cybersecurity laws to keep in mind the specific vectors of the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. So for that, first and foremost, these cybersecurity laws must deal with the important issue of attribution. How do you attribute a cybersecurity breach to artificial intelligence? And if so, what is the legal mechanism for doing that? What's the legal basis? And more significantly, assuming you're able to attribute a cybersecurity breach to a particular AI actor? How do you want to go forward? More so, as countries have still not given legal personhood to artificial intelligence per se. Another big important issue is how do we deal with this entire issue of cyber crime and cybersecurity breaches as a service powered by artificial intelligence? That's a predominant model happening on the darknet. Countries need to decipher this new model and come up with new legal frameworks to deal with the same. Also, while internet has made geography history, it's now possible sitting in one part of the world to go ahead and target computer systems and networks in another part of the world. At a time when the international trade agreements are missing, you often find that cyber criminals are able to go ahead and exploit this particular weakness, loophole, and don't get caught. That's also the reason why rogue state and non-state actors have started coming up in a big way in the direction of the cybersecurity breaches. So, dark web has become the de facto norm of the world. And today, I know of rogue nations who go on the darknet, who order for cybersecurity breaches and attacks on other state actors, non-state actors in that particular regard. So, I'm of the opinion that the law will have to deal with the contentious issue of internet jurisdiction, with the crucial issue of attribution, with the issue again of AI personhood in the context of legal liability for cybersecurity breaches. The legal basis for determining the legal liability for cybersecurity breaches is another one big area that work will have to be done. And finally, international cooperation will have to play a very important role. Why? Because now the golden age of cybercrime has already begun post the coming of COVID-19. And we are now beginning to see massive increases in cybersecurity breaches. To give an example, in India, by 2024, every 11 seconds, one company was becoming a victim of a ransomware attack. It's expected by the end of 2025, every 9 seconds, one company will become a victim of a ransomware attack. So these things are constantly increasing. There is no adequate mechanism for prosecution. Existing legal frameworks are not adequate to deal with it. We are not able to get convictions, and most of the time, the relevant incriminating electronic evidence is not being able to be properly collected, preserved, and presented in accordance with the applicable laws. So, we would require dedicated cybersecurity legal courts will only deal with matters pertaining to cybersecurity. And now with cybersecurity and AI coming in, it's a bad nightmare dream that's facing us. But hold on, that's not the end of the matter. Very quickly, we'll see this concoction of cybersecurity breaches, AI, and quantum computing coming together. That will be the final frontier, where people will be completely at their wits' end on how to deal with it. So the quicker we are able to go ahead and broaden the existing cyber security legal frameworks in countries have two options. Either you go ahead and amend your cybersecurity laws and incorporate elements on AI. Alternatively, you just amend that portion of it, but come up with a new dedicated law on artificial intelligence separately. But ultimately, everything is getting connected. We are all in the interconnected zone. So somewhere down the line, the legal principles must also converge. Now, for that, appropriate push in legal jurisprudence will have to be having. Also, countries need to give adequate attention and political will to cybersecurity and AI. Right now, AI is a sexy buzzword to talk about, but it's still not a big priority for countries in terms of allocation of their budgets or in terms of their political priorities. I think countries have to quickly realize that their sovereignty is now going to be in danger thanks to these cybersecurity breaches, thanks to artificial intelligence, crimes coming in, and therefore they will have to come up out of their deep slumber and specifically start coming up with effective legal frameworks both in cybersecurity and also AI.
So, presently, you see that there's a lot of heated debate on the ethical considerations with regard to AI. So, in what and you see that what role do ethical considerations in this way play in AI regulations, and how can lawmakers effectively integrate these into existing cyber laws?
First and foremost, we have to realize AI is different than cyberspace. A lot of people believe artificial intelligence is version 2 of cyberspace. I don't tend to agree. Cyberspace was a different paradigm which made geography history, but cyberspace did not have a cognitive thinking and intelligence of its own. Coming of artificial intelligence brings across a new paradigm where the machines have their own cognitive intelligence. Now, this intelligence is constantly getting more better, more advanced. And in a scenario like this, I think it becomes very important that countries will have to quickly start putting far more focus on the ethical aspects of AI. Now, problem is ethics is a human concept. We are humans, we've got ethical values, so we expect, just as humans, we adhere to ethical values, machines and their cognitive thinking will also adhere to ethical values. That may not necessarily be the case. Therefore, the AI algorithms will have to be trained on different aspects of ethical values. Now, when I look at the global landscape, I find dozens of these ethical frameworks that have been propounded by various stakeholders. The time has come that till such time you don't put these ethical foundations and legal principles as an integral part of the legal frameworks, they are not going to be mandatorily enforced and implemented in AI systems. If it's only going to be on self-regulation, then it's up to the subjective whims and fancies of the concerned AI coders or the AI companies as to whether they would want to put such AI ethical principles as a part of the building process of AI. But the moment the law starts mandating it, that you will have to make it mandatory in terms of building it as a part of the due diligence parameters of AI, then it starts having a different color altogether. More significantly, because if you don't comply with the mandate of law, then there will be penal consequences that will be attached to you. So, in a scenario like this, I think the only way forward will be that let's crystallize these ethical principles as an integral part of legal frameworks, and let's come up with legal consequences for systems, for coders, and for AI companies and service providers if they do not adhere with these mandatory parameters of ethical behavior. Because today, a lay user does not know what is AI. For him, a lay user, AI is a black box. So he expects a box to act ethically, which is a bad expectation because you don't know whether the black box has been trained on AI or on ethical practices, whether the ethical practices have been ingrained as an integral thinking process of artificial intelligence. So till such time, legal frameworks don't really stipulate parameters in this regard. It's only going to be just lip service that's going to happen. Will require far more cogent, effective, concrete action going forward.
Okay. So today you see a lot of innovation happening in when you take AI, emerging tech, etc. So how can we balance the need for innovation in AI development and with robust cybersecurity measures to protect individuals and organizations from cybercrime?
I think we have to all work towards a golden balance. The golden balance is let's not go for top down heavy regulation. Let's also not go for very light regulation. Let's go ahead and promote innovation. But where will that golden balance be between promoting innovation and ensuring a responsible ethical AI, which is transparent and accountable? That is a $1 million question that countries will have to start answering as we go forward. Currently, nobody's got the magical answer. But yes, countries have begun to start vacillating in different directions. I look at the two classical approaches of China and US, and I find that they're representing two ends of the spectrum. The Chinese approach on the new rules on generative AI are a very, very stringent, top-down, heavy regulation-based approach. Whereas America was also going more in the direction of regulation under the Biden regime. But then with President Trump coming in and with the new executive order of Jan 2025, the focus is more on light regulation and more on promoting innovation. So much so that in the new big beautiful bill of the US, they are saying that there's going to be a moratorium for 10 years for US states that they cannot make any laws on AI so that AI can be given appropriate impetus and appropriate encouragement. Now, how and in which particular manner countries will adopt what model on AI, regulation, and ethics, that's something that will be up to the subjective whims and fancies, as also the political priorities and the specific national interests of concerned countries. But yes, golden balance will have to be the only mantra going forward. It's very, very clear that if it's going to be very strong regulation, it might hinder, retard the growth of AI. But at the same time, regulation should not be so feather light that AI ceases to have any respect for regulation. Regulation must ensure that the rights of AI users must be adequately protected. We are humans, we are not guinea pigs in the AI laboratory. And we have a right to insist that we must have access to AI which is accountable, which is fair, which is transparent, which is explainable, and AI which does not go ahead and try to mess up our mental thought processes. So, for, for that particular purpose, it will be imperative that legal frameworks must stipulate the right duties and responsibilities of various stakeholders so that at least once you have a more accountable ethical AI in place, that's also going to contribute in the direction of preservation and protection of cybersecurity. Because ethical behavior would mean that you must go ahead and protect your network, protect your critical assets, your critical information infrastructure, and digital data from unauthorized access. And this is becoming all the more important because of AIGD coming in. AIGD is the acronym for AI generated data. AI generated data is going to span up a new economy called the AIGD economy, where AI generated data will have various kinds of economic values and transaction based approaches. So, in a scenario like that, we would still want that the AI economy and the AIGD economy does not get prejudicially impacted because of breach of cybersecurity of either AI, or we also have to make sure that AI does not become an instrumentality in the hands of cyber criminals for perpetuating cyber security breaches. Today, AI is like a typical Rampuri knife. You can use a Rampuri knife for cutting vegetables, or you can use it for the purposes of murdering someone. It's all dependent on you. But I will slightly differ from this analogy in as much as Rampuri knife does not have the intrinsic thought process or intelligence. But AI has got its own intrinsic cognitive intelligence that makes AI far more potent and far more potent and dangerous as compared to even a Rampuri knife. But I think regulatory approaches, capacity building, creation of awareness, and sensitizing people towards adopting artificial intelligence resilience could be good starting points for countries going forward. Let's quickly analyze it. We have already entered into a new age where AI is being used for breaching cyber security of countries, of computer systems, of corporates and networks. And this will also now be used for the purposes of breaching your data. In a scenario like this, we will have to have a given presumption that we will always be under attack from AI. Therefore, countries must start encouraging their users that they must start adopting a culture of AI resilience or artificial intelligence resilience, which means to say, well, come what may. Even if there's an attack by AI, I need to come back as soon as possible to a state of normalcy. And for that, I think a lot of human caution, care, due diligence will have to be emphasized by nation state actors as we go forward.
So, what are the potential implications of emerging tech such as quantum computing on current cybersecurity laws and enforcement?
Quantum computing is coming in like a wild dream that promises to deprive you of all your sleep in the coming times. Why? Because quantum computer will be breaking all the algorithms and all our passwords in a few seconds. So we are already looking at a world in an ecosystem which is post-quantum cryptography based. In a scenario like this, cybersecurity breaches will become the more predominant methodology and way of life, with quantum being used to power cybersecurity breaches. Cyber criminals in the darknet will keep on now using the powers of the quantum computing for the purposes of going ahead and manipulating multiplying and increasing manyfold their cybersecurity attacks and cybersecurity breaches. In that regard, we will have to come up with legal frameworks for regulating these emerging technologies like quantum computing. But nothing is happening in that regard. A couple of years back, I wrote this book called Quantum Computing Law. Now, that was prior to COVID-19. And I said how the world will have to have in place new legal frameworks specifically for quantum. And I think with now these massive developments in quantum computing coming in, the writing is lit large on the wall that countries will have to come in place their dedicated national laws on quantum computing. But there's no preparedness level yet. That's the reason we've launched the Quantum Legal Preparedness Center, which is helping stakeholders to be legally getting more prepared to deal with the eventualities and challenges of quantum computing. In addition, India is hosting the international dialogue on quantum legal frontiers, which I'm actually chairing as a conference chair on 3rd July 2025, where we will be looking at the emerging legal developments and trends on quantum computing and what needs to be done for coming up with cogent legal frameworks to deal with the realities post-quantum. So post-quantum cryptography legalities and connected impact among cybersecurity and the connected legal approaches that need to be adopted will be thrust areas that must engage the attention of stakeholders. But those are the areas we'll be talking at the international dialogue on quantum legal frontiers. And those are the areas that I believe will have to engage the attention of lawmakers and governments as we go forward.
So, how can businesses navigate the complexities of compliance with varying cybersecurity laws across jurisdictions, and what best practices can mitigate legal risks?
Businesses have to realize that today they are in a global market. So when they're doing their business offerings, those offerings will be made available across the network to different countries. That means that their offerings will be subject to different national laws in different countries. Much that you can say that I'm located in one country and I'm going to comply with the laws of that country, that may not necessarily now be cutting ice. Therefore, as part of international best practices, it will be much more better if you can actually try to ensure compliance with the national laws of national major territories or jurisdictions where your offering is being made available. Now, that means you'll be enhancing your compliance costs. That means you have to put in far more time, effort, energy. But more significantly, that's important for you to go ahead and limit your legal liability. The problem today is that if you don't comply with the national laws, you get exposed to both civil liability and criminal liability. Let me take you the example of India. In India, we don't have a dedicated law on cybersecurity yet, but there are adequate coverages under the Information Technology Act on some aspects of cybersecurity. So, should you be offering any such services to the Indian people? Independent of whether you are in India or not, you get governed by the Information Technology Act 2000. This is so because the law says this is applicable to you so long as your services are available on computers, computer systems and computer networks physically located in India, irrespective whether you are physically located in India or not. So that means you'll have to ensure compliance with local laws. Like in India, you're required to put in place reasonable security practices and procedures when you offer your services. Now, the law says if you comply with ISO 27001, you shall be deemed to ensure compliance with reasonable security practices and procedures. Also, in August 2023, the Indian Parliament has now passed a new law. It's called the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, which is India's first foray in the area of regulating data protection. Here also, the law has now come up with a new concept of reasonable security safeguards, which is a far more bigger and a broader concept than just reasonable security practices and procedures. So in a scenario like this, the best international practices are telling you, please look at common denominators of these various compliance requirements in different countries and start ensuring compliance. How do you start? Start by doing an audit. It should be a technical audit to find out that the cybersecurity of your offerings is adequate, is not breached, and is not prejudicially impacted in any manner whatsoever. Number two, doing a legal audit or a legal compliance audit, where you look at what is your current level of compliances with respect to the laws where your offices are, where your location is, but also with respect to broad areas of compliances under different national laws. Number three, please go ahead and ensure the custom specific compliances under distinctive national laws if you want to avoid legal exposure. Because you don't comply with law, you could be exposed to legal consequences. For example, in India, you don't comply with these requirements, you can actually be sued for unlimited damages by way of compensation up to 50 million under Indian rupees and beyond under the IT Act. In addition, there's also criminal liability. You can be sent to jail for a time imprisonment ranging from 3 years imprisonment to life imprisonment, fine ranging from 100,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees to 10 lakh rupees. In addition, under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, if you don't ensure compliance with the parameters, including the cybersecurity parameters, which are going to be detailed under the DPDP rules, you can actually be fined up to 250 crore rupees for one contravention. So the legal consequences for non-compliances are many. The reputational aspects of non-compliance is irreversible. So let's not play with fire. Let's ensure compliance with best practices. Let's ensure compliance with standards like ISO 27001 so that we can show that I've done what the law requires me to do. Look, the law is not very unreasonable. The law says, I want you to do certain minimum parameters of cybersecurity. Once that happens, and if beyond that also some cybersecurity breach takes place, I'm not going to make you liable. And I will not going to be straddling you with legal responsibility or legal consequences. But even if you don't even do the basic compliances under law, then our exposure is going to be on. So I think the reactive approach has to give way to more proactive compliances. The idea is it's a world, it's an age where you cannot predict when are you going to be attacked next, at which point of time, from which jurisdiction, by which state or non-state actor. So therefore, you'll have to be in a state of constant readiness. You'll have to ensure compliance with applicable laws. You'll have to ensure compliance and constant updation of technical parameters so that your technical offerings are more cyber secure, cyber resilient, and cyber reliable.
So, in what ways can public awareness and education about cybercrime and cybersecurity law be improved to empower individuals against AI driven threats?
Unfortunately, today, not much awareness is happening on the entire issue of cyber law, cybercrime, cybersecurity. With the result, people are getting sucked into this new whirlpool of the golden age of cybercrime. Financial cybercrimes are bleeding nations because people are losing money left, right, and center thanks to the innovative use of AI by cybercriminals for the purposes of perpetuating financial frauds. So, in a scenario like this, the only way forward is capacity building, creating more awareness. The government needs to do its own job, which in India it's doing, but more significantly, other stakeholders need to play a very important role. I like to compliment the role done by CyberPeace as an organization in creating more awareness and in more capacity building amongst users, amongst the youth, and the digital ecosystem at large. Also, through various important conferences, we've also been going ahead and trying to create more awareness. 2014, I started a small conference. It was called the International Conference on Cyber Law and Cybercrime. And by 2014 November, we came up with the next version of the conference. This time it was called the International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime, and Cybersecurity. From a half-day conference in the last 12 years, this conference has grown to full 3-day conference. This is the 13th year. We'll be holding the conference from 19th to 21st of November 2025 in New Delhi. Last year, we had 45 sessions. We had 300 speakers, 1,500 people from across all the 5 continents who came. So when you go ahead and discuss various deliberations and topics in these kind of conferences, I think they also help in generating more awareness. In addition, I think education can play a very important role. I created a platform many years back called cyberlawuniversity.com. I'm into cyber law. I said, look, let me do an experiment. I said, who's interested in cyber law? So let me record some courses on cyber law, put it online, and forget about it. So I recorded 37 courses online, put it, and forgot about it for 5 years. After 5 years, when I go there, I'm zapped. Why? Because in these 5 years, these courses have been done by 32,500 professionals from 176 countries who speak 54 national languages. And these figures tell me that there's a need for more capacity building. Today, people don't want gyan. People want how does this impact me and how can I protect myself? It's here that more capacity building through self-help courses, through practical oriented courses can actually create more awareness amongst users so that they can be in a much better position to deal with the AI ecosystem more responsibly and more efficiently.
So, how can governments ensure that regulatory approaches to AI uh, do not stifle technological advancement while addressing cybercrime risks?
Governments have a big problem today. Why? Because now cyber criminals are increasingly getting powered by AI. A new model has emerged on the darknet, which is called cybercrime as a service powered by artificial intelligence. So earlier, cyber criminals will do the cybercrime. Then came a time they said, look, you outsource it to me, I will get it done from someone else. Now's the time where the cyber criminal says, you outsource the cybercrime to me, I'll get it done through AI. So the cybercrime will be done by AI, and there'll be no electronic evidence to connect the AI with the person who's ordered the cybercrime. So consequently, cybercrime convictions will become more and more rare. In a scenario like this, I think countries have to start realizing that artificial intelligence crimes have already emerged in their respective horizons, where criminal activity is being targeted not only using AI, but also cybercrimes are being targeted at AI. So in a scenario like this, you'll have to go ahead and come up with effective legal frameworks for going ahead and regulating AI crimes, but that can only come in a more calibrated basis. You can't have a knee-jerk reaction. You can't say, well, let me make all misuse or abuse of AI as criminal. That may not work. So you will have to have a golden balance between promoting innovation and also ensuring that emerging tech like AI acts more accountably, more responsibly, and that people are going to be made accountable in the event there is legal harm or injury that's going to be caused to them as a result of actions done by artificial intelligence. So the golden balance is what I've been talking about. More light faith regulation and light feather regulation and more cyber enablement, more self-regulation is what's being promoted by the US. I think we'll have to give adequate attention both for creating more encouragement for innovation, for encouraging self-regulation, but also at the same time endorsing ethical principles in legal frameworks so that there are legal frameworks to ensure that AI does not get misused for criminal, illegal, or ulterior motives.
So, what mechanisms can AI developers uh, be accountable for potential misuse of the technologies in cybercrime, and how can these be enforced?
AI coders today are having a party. Why? Because they are creating AI, there is no law, they are creating AI at will, what they want to do, and often, more often than not, we're finding that these guys are not putting in due diligence parameters. So in a scenario like this, the time has come where we must elaborate the rights, duties, and responsibilities of AI coders. That can only happen if we revisit the principles of intermediary liability. Look, today when I'm an AI coder and I code AI program, I become a network service provider. I become an intermediary. That being so, traditionally under traditional law, I'm not made liable for third-party data. But AI ballgame is completely different. Countries will have to revisit their legal approaches on intermediary liability, more so in the context of artificial intelligence, and make these AI coders more accountable. You can't say, I have created AI, I don't know how it works, you use it at your own peril, and I'll be not responsible. Sorry. Nobody asked you to create an irresponsible AI. So once the AI that you create is not responsible, is not ethical, takes decisions which causes injury, harm, damage to you in body or person or property, then clearly someone has to be uh, facing the blunt of the legal exposure. And that can only happen if the coders can be made more liable. So, right now, in the absence of legal frameworks, countries are relying upon tortious liability principles, the law of torts to make the AI coders responsible. But the problem is, you have countries like America, which have the Communications Decency Privacy Act of 1996, where they have said, look, the moment you're a service provider, you're a mere pipe provider, we will not make you liable for third party data. And that's the specific kind of a ground under which AI companies are going and saying, hey guys, I get this complete statutory exemption from legal liability, therefore you can't make me liable. I think given the peculiar nuances of AI ecosystem, they will have to rework and revisit this entire issue of intellectual liability. Ultimately, the aim game is very clear. We don't want to make AI coders go to jail because of their AI, but we want to be given appropriate legal consequences should they not be duly diligent in endorsing and incorporating cyber due diligence, cyber ethical practices, cyber responsible behavior as part of the building process of AI. I think mere self-regulation is not going to work. You can't say, I made this AI, you used it, some injury got caused to you, oops, I'm sorry. The oops, I'm sorry will not work. You will have to be made more accountable. Right now, it's a gray zone. Countries have not worked. But very quickly, when consumers start waking up to the losses, harms, and injuries caused to them by AI, then they're going to be in actual trouble. I'll give you an example. So recently, there was a couple who came and saw me. They know of my work in AI, and they had a problem, and they want a legal recourse. The problem is that they have a class 11th student who's studying in class 11, their son. And the son, for whatever reason, has come to a conclusion that his two enemies in life are his mother and father. Now, the son is constantly going on a particular AI platform and constantly asking for new strategies to demolish the parents, to make them lose more money, reputation, goodwill, and standing. And the couple came to me and say, guys, we want to take legal action against the AI platform to injunct the platform from misguiding my son. Well, I told them currently the law is not yet developed, so we can't be going forward. But these kind of cases are telling us AI will be causing harm, a wrongful harm, wrongful loss, wrongful injury, legal injury to people. And once they start happening, people will start litigating. And that being the case, you can't send AI algorithm to jail. I can't force AI algorithm to make the payment. So somebody behind the algorithm, the AI coder who's developed it, the company who's got it developed, will have to own up some legal responsibility. Right now, it's a gray zone. Nobody wants to own up any responsibility. Look at the terms and conditions of all top AI developers and AI platforms. They say, look, we are giving you use it on your own risk, on an as-is-where-is basis. We are not going to be responsible. I think that approach will have to give way to more responsible accountability. You will have to be responsible should your AI misbehave, misjudge, or do some action which can actually cause prejudicial impact or injury to target users. But for that, the legal jurisprudence on artificial intelligence law will have to quickly evolve with the passage of time.
So, how can the legal system evolve to address challenges posed by AI regarding attribution and liability for cybercrimes?
I think legal systems are completely inadequate to deal with these challenges of AI. The legal frameworks have not started applying their mind on this entire issue of attributability in the context of AI. Let me give you an example. In the real world, when A murders B, he gets booked for murder and he gets prosecuted and punished. Now, under the criminal jurisprudence, there are two important concepts, legal concepts. One is called mens rea, and the other one is called actus reus. Mens rea is an intention to do a criminal activity, and actus reus is an action done in pursuance of the intention for the criminal activity. Now, these entire jurisprudential concepts have been developed keeping in mind physical world, keeping in mind humans. Now, how do you apply these kind of concepts to artificial intelligence? Can you say artificial intelligence has an intention to commit crime? And if so, how do you demonstrate? How do you prove the same? Further, it can definitely be proved that artificial intelligence has done some act which may tantamount to certain crime. So the criminal jurisprudence will have to more specifically be evolving with the passage of time. The legal frameworks will have to be changing because the traditional legal concepts will have to be revisited in the context of artificial intelligence. I'm very clear. Today is 2025, June. By the time it's 2030, and supposing in 2030 we were supposed to write a book of 100 pages on AI law globally, then in June 2025, we are on the second or the third page of this 100-page book. That's the kind of quantum of developments that I'm expecting are likely to be taking place in AI legal jurisprudence by the year 2030. And mind you, with more quicker developments in superintelligence coming in, the need for more quicker response mechanisms in terms of legal, regulatory, and governance frameworks by governments, by nation state actors will have to be more and more rapid with the passage of time.
So, before we end the podcast, what message would you like to share for CyberPeace?
I will only like to say CyberPeace has been doing a phenomenal work over the last many years. I've had this wonderful opportunity to be associated with CyberPeace as an advisor. And I can tell you, CyberPeace has come in and occupied a space that was previously empty, a vacuum that's been actually addressed by CyberPeace, more so in terms of its cutting edge work on creating more capacities, more awareness among stakeholders. Also, it's remarkable research on different aspects of cyberspace, and ultimately, it's contributing in its own remarkable manner towards the institution and preservation of CyberPeace as a paradigm in cyberspace. And with now new emerging technologies coming in, with new initiatives and projects, CyberPeace is on a different anvil. So my congratulations. You guys are doing a phenomenal work. And I believe the world requires far more organizations like CyberPeace to contribute, because ultimately peace will become an elusive concept in this AI age when you will have AI vectors, AI actors going ahead and doing prejudicial activities to impact the peace in cyberspace along with physical peace. That's why I think the role of organizations like CyberPeace is going to be so critical. I think you've got a phenomenal leadership in Vineet. I believe your various initiatives have got massive grassroots level connection. And we are beginning to see a tremendous transformation in terms of the impact of the various initiatives on the ground. That, I think, is the ultimate vector of success. So congratulations. But then today is not the time to rest on your laurels. You have to do far more. And I think the more complexities that are coming with the AI age will present new opportunities for organizations like CyberPeace to excel and to further push the boundaries for jurisprudence and also for capacity building.
Also, do you have like any final suggestions or advices you'd like to give to the general audience about the various contemporary cyber related crimes that are taking place in the society?
Today, please let's realize that we are in the midst of the golden age of cybercrime. This golden age of cybercrime began with the coming of COVID-19 and will be now with us for the next many decades. In this golden age of cybercrime, please remember that you are standing in the center of the digital Kurukshetra battlefield. You are going to be targeted, attacked on a 360-degree viewpoint by state and non-state actors. Everybody is interested in you, your data, your money, your values, your assets. So that being so, you will be under constant attack. And now with artificial intelligence increasingly becoming a new catalyst force for cyber criminals, you will have AI-enabled crimes also targeting you, foxing you, maybe even trying to bleed you, maybe trying to get unauthorizedly your money out of your pocket. Please realize that AI crimes have already emerged in the country. Deep fake crimes have already emerged. We have I've personally done various cases of deep fake crimes in the country. And these are not just at personal level, but also at corporate and institution levels. So please be prepared that these attacks will keep on coming. The focus is not on the attacks. The focus is on how quickly can you come back to a state of normalcy after getting attacked. So therefore, as users, you will have to start ensuring that you focus on cyber resilience and artificial intelligence resilience as a way of life. You must realize that financial cybercrimes and online financial frauds have become so predominant that whatever be the position, the chances are during your weak moment, you can potentially become a victim. You can land up losing your trust, monies, confidence, your reputation for a lifetime in just a few seconds. So, therefore, the only mantra that I like to give to you is be cautious, be careful, because it's whether it's cyberbullying, cyber harassment, cyber nuisance, you find trolling, you find distributed denial of service attacks, ransomware attacks, AI enabled crime, AI targeted crime. The list is constantly going on. So let's focus on our basics. Let's focus on not being part of the great vomiting revolution. Let's also be focusing not being part of the great recording revolution. Let's not record everything and then uh, forget about where we've kept our recordings. Let's learn to protect, preserve, and conserve, as also consolidate our digital assets, our data. Let's learn to swear by having backups of your devices, of your phones, of your data on a regular basis. Let's focus on cyber resilience because we, in any case, are going to be attacked. The time for shaming a victim of a cybercrime is gone. The time has come where almost everybody is becoming a victim of cybercrime. Please realize that there are only two kinds of people in the world. One, who know that they have become a victim of cybercrime, and two, who do not know that they have become a victim of cybercrime. So it depends on which category that you are in. Either way, please wake up from your deep slumber. Let's learn to start inculcating an element of distrust and mistrust in our mindsets. Let's now learn to distrust every information till such time we have not independently authenticated the veracity or correctness of the same. It's time that you should be stingy in sharing your information. Please share your information on a need to know basis only. The entire world does not need to know everything and anything about you. And ultimately, be careful of your digital footprints. With AI now coming in, everything that you've actually said online is getting captured by artificial intelligence. As they used to say, it's cyberspace. I'm now saying both cyberspace and artificial intelligence do not sleep and do not forget. Remember these two intrinsic elements of cyberspace and AI as you go ahead and dwell with this. Let's not take these technologies for granted. Let's try to protect and preserve whatever little limited privacy remains in our day-to-day lives. Let's try to inculcate good cyber hygiene methodologies so that we can focus more on cyber resilience as a way of life. That, in a nutshell, will have to be your mantra. I can't say when is the next time you're going to be attacked or you will become a victim of cybercrime, but I can tell you once that happens, don't fluster, don't panic, come back to normalcy, report, talk about it, ask others, people not to make the same mistakes that you have done because we are all in the same boat. Let's together contribute in making cyberspace far more cyber secure and cyber resilient.
Well, so that brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you, Dr. Duggal, for joining us on, the discussion on cybersecurity. We hope the episode was beneficial to you all, and thanks for listening to the CyberPeace podcast.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you on your podcast. And I must tell you, the kind of questions that you actually asked are so diverse. Hopefully, they'll be of value to your users. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our show. We look forward to your company next week for another exciting episode. Until then, this is Dr. Preeti signing off.